Josh, one thing I find that's interesting, and I think a lot of people can relate when they grow up with some difficult situations, whether it's family or money, oftentimes that inspires them to do something different. And going through that difficulty allows them to go through the difficulty of building wealth or kind of doing or some extraordinary things. And I think part of that is when we grow up in a modest environment. But what are you doing, Josh? Like now you have your kids that are growing up in a different situation, but you don't want them to be complacent. You kind of want them to have some of the same fire or desire. So can you mind sharing some things that you're doing to help inspire your children?
Man, I think about that a lot. And as much as I want to protect my children from some really scary experiences that I had as a young man, I know that I wouldn't be who I am and have the same motivation if I hadn't gone through those experiences. So how do I give them a different, path to grow up, but still keep them focused on being good humans and contributing to the world and having that hunger, that fire? So I won't claim to have it all figured out, but here's a few of the things that my wife and I have really spent some intentional time contemplating and thinking. First of all, we got them interested in investing very early. So the first thing that we did was we created bank accounts for them. I think when they were like 6, we started bank accounts for kids. And we would give them chores. We would say, hey, if you create value around the house, go find a problem. If the garage is disorganized and dirty, that's a problem. Be looking for problems and go solve them, and we will pay you for that. And then you have a choice once you have that money. You can either spend it or you can save it in your savings account. Now, once it's saved in the savings account, you can only take it out to buy a car, buy a house, or pay for your school. That's the only reasons that it can come out of that savings account. But for the funds that you decide to save, we'll double it. So if you save $100, we're depositing 200. Another way to look at that is if you spend $50 of the $100 that you earn, it actually costs you $100 to save that 50 because you missed the doubling of that money over time. Well, by time my son Xander was like 10, the kid had $6,000 or $4,000 in this bank account. And, when you double the deposits, they like to see how that grows. And then we said, hey, Xander, we're buying a building and we're looking for investors. Do you want to invest in this building? And this is how smart my son is. He goes, yeah, I want to invest in this building. Do you think grandma would double my investment? Because my mom invests with me, right? So now we've doubled his investment. And now the little capitalist is going to grandma and saying, if I invest in this building, would you double it? Then quarterly, they pay distributions. Guess what happens to the distributions? They get doubled because they go into the savings account. He saves up the money, and then grandma doubles them when they go in the building. So we're trying to increase the velocity of money for our kids because they've got a short timeline, and we're trying to teach them how money can snowball, how a little savings today foregoing instant gratification can grow into something big, but I got to do it over 5, 6, 7 years because these kids are going to be, out on their own, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to speed up that velocity of money for them. And then, we do like quarterly reviews. We'll talk to them about how their buildings are doing. Hey, there's a vacancy. This company just went out of business. They filed foreclosure or bankruptcy. Not only are we not going to pay distributions, you're not going to get a distribution this month. We might have a capital call, right? So now the kids are into all of these business things because it's their money that's in these buildings. So I hope that helps.
I dig it.
How it turns out.
No, I dig it.
I love it. Anthony's going to want grandma's number so that she can start doubling his investments. Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
You talked about kids and just kind of teaching kids these lessons of life, right? And kind of paring it down for them. But man, you're also teaching clients, and you've got a really interesting take on a topic that I think a lot of people are afraid of, and that's inflation.
You want to see the entire episode? Click here. If you want to learn how investors use infinite banking to increase their returns and lower their taxes, click here. If you want to see if infinite banking is for you and you have some questions, hop on a discovery call with us and one of our coaches. The link for that will be in the description.